Years ago, the first women were ordained as priests in the Church of England. Anne Easter was one of the first to be ordained at Chelmsford Cathedral.
It's hard to imagine that it's 30 years since I was made a priest here in Chelmsford Cathedral. We weren't the first women in the whole country. I believe Bristol Diocese picked us to the post on that front. But we were very early on, and obviously we were the first women priests. It was extraordinary. The cathedral was absolutely packed with people. They'd got chairs everywhere. There were 3 services and I was in the first one because I had already been a deaconess and then a deacon here in Chelmsford Diocese. So, well, I went and had my hair done, of course, and the mayor, at the time, I was chaplain to the Mayor of Newham. And so my friend Jenny Reagan, who was also being ordained, and I came with the mayor in her car. And so we rolled up all very, posh, and we're here now. And that was great. It was a huge buzz, the bells going, 19 to the dozen, everything was amazing, very exciting.
Before 1994, women were not allowed to become priests, and the first ordinations followed years of campaigning.
I think a lot of women have felt called to do priestly things over the years. You could go back to Julian of Norwich and say that a lot of what she did and said and the way she behaved was priestly. But I think gradually the momentum built up. I joined the movement for the ordination of women, of course. We marched, went to Lambeth conference and waited for the bishops to come out holding placards and things. And some of them, actually came and joined us and marched with us. Some of the male bishops who thought it was right did come and march with us. We wrote lots of letters. I got my MP because it had to go through Parliament and everything. I got my MP to be on our side, and Tony Banks, bless his heart, he was very much in favour. We did all sorts of things to try and encourage people to believe that this was the way forward.
Archdeacon Elwyn Cockett was a priest in the diocese at the time and remembers it well.
I'd want to mention 2 memories in particular, and the first actually predates all this in that I remember it probably was in the mid-80s that I saw Anne Easter, who must have been a deaconess at the time, on probably Songs of Praise, and she was giving a blessing somewhere down in Docklands, and it was good. And someone who was watching at the same time as me said, "That looks ridiculous, doesn't it?" And I think for the first time I thought, no, it doesn't look ridiculous, it looks just right. And that's probably the first time I became aware of the issue that women really should be ordained first as deacons, then as priests within the church. And then the second was a few years later. I was ordained way back in 91 as a deacon. And there were, I think, 3 women in our cohort. And one of them was Louise Williams, who became a good friend. And of course, it hit me the following year when I was made priest that Louise was not, and that didn't seem right. And so it was a couple of years later that I was able to rejoice with her and with others when she was made priest.
I think the introduction of women to priestly ministry over the past 30 years has been a real gift to the Church of England, and an absolute joy to kind of witness and see the effects of it unfold over the years, as it were. I think for individual women it's been an opportunity to have their calling and vocation tested. For hundreds of years, women have felt a calling to ordained ministry, but not had the opportunity for that to be tested, and that's been both their loss, but also a loss for the wider church, as it were. So it's a joy to see now, on the shoulders of the hundreds of women that went before us, the opportunity now for individuals to have their vocation tested and affirmed, and for the church itself to have the full diversity and the diversity of experience and perspective, I think has brought a huge amount to particularly parochial ministry. It is now completely normal in parishes for there to be men and women ministering alongside each other, and I think for the power structures, if I can call it that, it's healthier to have both men and women represented, and I think we've become a better institution and organisation for it.
When I said about all the things I've done over the last 30 years, of course, a golden thread running through all that has been working in the parish and working in Newham, where I was born, where I was brought up, where I went to school and everything, trying to convince the people of Newham that they're good enough and that God loves them just the way they are. And all that, and that's such a privilege. And to conduct funerals, to baptise babies in the same font that I was baptised in, can you believe that? To do the occasional wedding. I don't do very many weddings, that's a shame because I love doing weddings, but I haven't done enough, and so I still find myself looking at the dresses and everything when I'm supposed to be conducting the service.
Famalaya Vaughan was ordained as priest at Chelmsford Cathedral in 2022. She now serves in the Great Baddow Team Ministry.
My priesthood service was a real joyous, life-giving occasion, actually. Entering into my office as a priest and what that meant for me, the roles and what I'll be doing, how I'll be serving my church community and my community in general as a priest. The things that I'll be doing Eucharist, that was like important to me. And so it was like a realization that, wow, I'm a priest. I am a priest. And wherein it was as though, yes, I had my cassock on my cassock album and things like that, but I was now wearing the mantle that God has called me into as a priest. And that was special. It carried, there was great humility in it, that this office is not to be taken lightly. My first priority is to honor God as a priest in all that I do, in all that I say, in my stance, in my community as I walk about. I am that priest. I am that person that the children see when I go into the schools for assembly. I am that priest that I walk about and I pray for people, carry that mantle on the street to pray for people. So it is one that I am very grateful to God for that grace to be a priest.
It was the most amazing and peculiar thing. I got a letter from the palace to say the Queen wanted me to be one of her chaplains, hence the red outfit here. And that was the most extraordinary and strange thing to do. You know, I come from my nan's back bedroom and here I am in Buckingham Palace and a bishop comes up and says, the Queen wants to speak to you. It's so weird, you know, where life takes you, this peculiar journey to find myself there. And it was extraordinary.
To the best of my knowledge, there are around 12 women who are still in active ministry in Chelmsford Diocese who were ordained priests 30 years ago. And of those 12, I think I'm right in saying 8 were ordained in Chelmsford Cathedral on the 30th of April 1994. And I want to thank them all for their ministry, especially for the valuable contribution they've made in so many different ways to the life of our diocese. And of course, I offer my warmest congratulations as they celebrate 30 years in the priesthood this year.
30 years on from those first ordinations, Bishop Gully has a message for those considering ordination today.
If you have a sense of calling, then it's better for that to be tested, because it's unlikely to go away. You might be able to push it aside for years and years and years, but it will likely catch you in the end. So better for it to be tested. And the Church needs women and men, but women of all ages, and particularly to see younger women coming in. Is something that we don't take for granted, but I believe that it is a blessing for the life of our church, and I want to encourage others who feel a sense of calling to dip their toe in to find out whether this is what God is calling them to or not.
I would say just go for it. You will never ever feel as though you've got it all going, and that's okay. It's not about you having all the answers, but it's listening to that voice and also listening to the witness of other people. You know, even if you feel that maybe I don't have it, everybody can't be wrong. You know, the friends, the family that are speaking to you and saying you should do this, go for it. In that inner voice of the Holy Spirit that is telling you, do this, do it. God equips those that He's called. So we don't come there equipped with having everything. Just come there with who you are. Come with your experiences.
Tim Goodbody is the Diocesan Director of Ordinands for Chelmsford Diocese.
Anyone who feels that God is calling them to ordained ministry should speak to their vicar, their parish priest, their incumbent, who can then refer them to me and begin the process of discernment. And there's lots of information about that and other things to do with vocations on our diocesan website.
I want to say a special thank you to all the women who are currently serving as priests and deacons in this diocese. They all make a huge contribution to the life of our diocese. I'm grateful for their faithfulness and for their commitment, and I wish them every blessing in the future.
If you'd like to find out more about different ministries in the Church of England, there's lots of useful information on the Chelmsford Diocese website. Scan this QR code to visit our Exploring Vocations web pages.